This Ambetter Health 400 Betting Picks 2025 edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with our promo code RACESGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus of up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Earn up to $750 per month on your sports gambling transactions. Go to edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm, the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'm just gonna put my foot on the floor and I'm not lifting till I see God or a checkered flag.
My man.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
We want to thank you tonight for these mighty machines that you brought before us. Thank you for the Dodges and the Toyotas. Thank you for the Fords. Lord, I want to thank you for my smoking hot wife tonight, Lisa. In Jesus' name, boogity, boogity, boogity.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez, fresh off of the chaotic mess that was Daytona. Rye checking in already saying, how we feeling, fellas? Daytona was rough. I think it was rough for a lot of people, Cody. That race was everything you had hoped it would be and everything you hoped it wouldn't be, all in the same race. You're muted, Cody. I know you have wonderful things to say, but we can't hear you.
Oh, wow. First time, Rod. Sorry. My apologies. Welcome into the show. Yeah, that's how rough it was. I didn't even want to talk about it.
No, hey, listen, you and a lot of people alike, man, I'm telling you right now, the whole sport is reeling from this. You are of two ends in this entire thing. But first, let's say hi to Zachary Parnell saying, first time making it in to watch it live. Welcome to the family, my friend. Happy to have you here. But yeah, Cody, there's a lot of heated opinions on either side of how that Daytona race went.
Yeah, I mean, that's just Daytona, right?
But Denny Hamlin doesn't want you saying that. He wants you to say that super speedway racing can be something better than it is. Like that's what I think I agree with him on this one too. We keep saying the super speedway racing, but I mean, it
is and it isn't. I mean, if you look back through the past of it, like the big wrecks have always been a part of it, and that's something that happens. You know, it seems like lately we've not been getting the big wrecks until we were on the front stretch at the end, and this one was different because we had it in the back stretch and the guy from 7th wins, right? But I don't know, that's just what we expect at this point, I think.
Yeah, and honestly too, the big wrecks have been there, and it's just a matter of, are these stupid moves or are okay. Denny and I were about the same age. There's a couple of year difference. I've found, Denny, that I've gotten very, very ornery in my old age. I'm feeling very, just shake my fist at the sun saying, get off my lawn. So maybe, Denny, you and I are just too old for this sport. Maybe the kids that are blocking and throwing blocks, they're not doing anything different than you were 20 years ago. You're just too old and too pissed off now and jaded in your old age to recognize it for what it's worth. And I get that. I feel you on that one, buddy, because I'm the same way. I'm in the car now. What fazed me at 20, like if somebody doesn't put their blinker on, I'm ready to get out of the car and kick their door in because it's like, put your damn blinker on. Or at 20, I'd be like, oh, cool, me either. So I get it, Denny. I get it.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of the old man, get off my lawn. I don't know. I mean, I get it, right? Sometimes it's stupid stuff we're wrecking over, like the Stenhouse-Logano thing. Like, they both knew that wasn't going to work. They both did it, and they both wrecked the entire field for almost no reason. And I think there's a lot of stubbornness there by Joey. I get it. It's late. There's only 8 laps left. You don't want to lift, but you knew what was going to happen if you stayed in it, and you stayed in it. And you took out your teammate in the process, and look what happened. Like, so I don't know. I see both sides of it, but at the same time, like, that's what this type of racing has led to lately. And are we going to see that change? I do think, and we'll talk about it as we get into the Atlanta picks here. I think that this track races a little differently, and there's less of that to a degree, especially kind of looking through the results over the years. But Daytona and Talladega, I think, is just going to continue to be that way until what? Like, what's going to make it change? I really don't know what would make it change. I mean, if you want to see the up and coming guys, look at the truck and ARCA race, and it ain't going to get better.
No, it is not. That's for sure. But we will have plenty more. Obviously, there's no official recap show, so apologies for that. I know that a lot of people have gotten used to us being able to break down the bets in the race, but we can't spend a whole lot of time doing that. Suffice it to say that Jimmy Johnson, top 5, top 3, top 10, don't care where you put him, just not in victory lane. But I was a very happy.
Can you imagine, Rod, if the seas had parted and that 84 car was the one to come out of there?
Bro.
Oh,
that would have made me look like a genius on this.
Well, you already look like a genius.
Well,
but
that's true, but no, I'm just
yeah. I mean, hey, that's the place you could do it, right? The Coke 600. I'm gonna probably shoot you down if you try to bet on them. But this race, that's the one you could bet on them, and look, that's why, because it paid off.
Indeed. Speaking of looking like a genius and cashing some bets, if you're looking for free daily picks for college basketball, NBA, college basketball, NHL, and more, download that SGPN app. Everything there for you, including this show as well. Like Cody said, today we are here to discuss the Atlanta Motor Speedway, which is now the Atlanta Motor Super Speedway, that runs like a raceway, that runs like a road. I don't know, whatever they've morphed it into nowadays. It is pack racing at Atlanta, which is going to provide us with some of what we saw, not all of what we saw this last time, but there will be beating, banging, and there will be some fun to be had. TK checking in saying it was a rough week for Trackhouse and SVG. Yeah, I know. Suarez top 10, baby, let's go. That was awesome. Matt had Cindric outright and LaJoie top 5 and top 10. That last lap killed him. Killed a lot of people.
Oh boy, we were stacking pennies, Rod. Those pennies were shiny and looked good. And then some kid just came over and kicked our little pile of pennies over, and it was no more stacked pennies.
As good of a story as that would have been, I still was just like, come on, now we're really having the 01 car up front. This is where we're at in life. But
it was so beautiful, Rod. It's all right. We're going to see that 01 car up front this week, which we'll talk about in a bit.
Indeed, we will. As we turn, like I said, to the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia, we're set for 260 laps around this 1.540 mile paved track for 400 miles of super speedway pack racing. 16 ohms already knows the rule. Fade Larson on that one. I did say that too on the Visson show as well. I was a guest, if you didn't know, on the Ready Set Bet show on Visson Live, and I did talk about the number one rule of super speedway racing when that's Fade Larson, and they kind of chuckled at that.
That's funny, Rod. Kyle Larson at Atlanta, 6 starts. Rod, you know how many of those races he's finished?
I'm going to go ahead and say none of those.
You would be correct.
Beautiful. That's what I'm talking about. This is why, kids, that we tell you to do that kind of stuff.
It's a real thing.
Yep. All right. Who are we looking at for the entry list now that we've calmed down with all of the open entries?
Yes, there's 39 cars this week, Rod, so everybody will make the race. That means that Corey LaJoie is locked into the race already. You got to love that. We'll be talking about him in a little bit. Cruising down the list, the other open cars are BJ McLeod in the 78 car, and there should be one more, Rod. Who is it?
That is a very solid question.
Boy.
Cody's not blank. I think that's it.
That's a great question. Well, there's 39 cars, but there's 36 charters, so my math, JJ Yaley in the 44, almost probably a reason. How do we forget? What? Speaking of, Rod, you see my brand new sign back here?
I do. That's such a beautiful looking thing. Yeah. Where'd you get it?
That Daytona 500 watch party I was at this weekend, which we saw 11 laps of racing while I was at the party. But they did have some fun prizes and stuff, and I got a JJ Yaley. It's signed by the 2009 F1 champion, JJ Yaley, by the way. It's signed by him, and it's like from the insert above the garage at Iowa Speedway. a couple of years ago. So yeah, shout out to Dan for hooking me up with that. Appreciate it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Hey, shout out to my family too for sticking through that rain delay. Actually, it's funny. We ended up in this office listening to my record player and just talking about old times. So that was kind of a fun little way to spend the rain delay.
Yeah, the rain. Oh, it sucks so much because we drove all the way up to Council Bluffs, it's like an hour or so from where we're at here in Lincoln. Everything, we got settled in, did all the stuff, watched 11 laps, and then it was like, okay, what's going to happen? Like, what's going to go on? We were across the street from the casino. So, we went over to the casino for a few. And then I was like, okay, we better just drive back because who knows? So I ended up in James's little man shed garage thing, watched most of the rest there and finished it out at home. But yeah, put a damper literally on the Daytona 500 watch plans, but that's all right. We made it. And at least I got the race in on Sunday. So there is that.
It's 2025. How can we not control the weather where we're at anymore? Or at the very least, like I said, just send up 10,000 drones, all holding up a Mylar, kind of an umbrella type of a thing over the entire track.
You might be onto something there, Rod. You might be onto something. They can coordinate those drones pretty well. You've seen those light shows?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they can do it.
I'm just saying, like, if then you use that idea, I am Rod Villagomez. You can find me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. I'll take every bit of royalty you can get on that one. So, all right, that is enough of Daytona. Like we said, we turn our attention to Atlanta, where we will get ready for some more pack racing. And Cody, is there any other news that we got to get to? Other than the fact that Denny's pissed and everybody's pissed at Recky Stenhouse.
Like, yeah, the Parker Kligerman appeal will be heard on Wednesday. So yeah, I guess just going back to last week, of course, we gave him out 14-1 to win the truck race. I ended up tweeting out, I don't remember who it was, but shout out to them for putting it together. But each book has their own set of rules. Some books still pay after the checkered flag. Some are after Tech. DraftKings, shout out to them. They pay for both, so you're covered there. So yeah, hopefully you were able to figure it out with your book. Hopefully you did get paid. We had a couple people in the Discord that had Heim, so they ended up getting lucky and getting paid there. It's just such a shitty deal when that happens, and it really does mess with the betting thing. So unfortunately, good reminder early to early in the season here to check your rules on your book. And we're not sponsored currently by DraftKings, I don't think at the moment, but if it's up to them and somewhere else, they're going to pay it even if the guy's disqualified. You might consider that a little more, right?
Indeed. Yeah, by the way, so congratulations to Parker Kligerman on the win. Congratulations to Corey Heim on the win. Congratulations to Jesse Love with the win in the Xfinity Series too. Already, what do we have his win to? I got to go back.
Yeah, I got to go back. I think it was only like 1.5, maybe 2.5. We definitely were both on the over. So off to a good start on that win total. And then I'm almost certain we took the Heim win total as well, which is also off to a good start. I also know that I was on the under on the William Byron thing. So maybe that one's not quite off to a good start. But
no, because we said it. He's going to get off to a hot start.
True. He does. He starts the season early, and then he cools off.
Sheldon Creed, top 3 too. So that's always a good one to get down.
Zachary was wanting to know how we felt about Cletus in the ARCA race.
Oh, that ARCA race, boy.
The ARCA race was something else. Cletus, I'm not a big YouTube guy, so I've never seen his stuff before. He's playing his character, which is great and cool. It's a fun, exciting interview. Is he there more for clicks than racing? Probably, but hey, good for him. If he brings more people to the sport, I'm all for it.
Yep. We've always said it is eyeballs on sport is not a bad thing. It's just can they stay there for that? But
that's right.
All right. I think it's time to get to the picks, Cody, for this Ambetter Health 400. And we'll do that. But first, let me tell you about Edge Boost. SGPN has partnered up with Edge Boost, the premier Visa debit card for bettors. An Edge Boost card allows you to avoid the hassle of having your card denied at the sports book, DFS site, sweepstakes site, racetrack, or casino. And let me tell you, there's no worse feeling in the world than getting ready to put a lock on a Sheldon Creed top 5 bet and then having it denied because your card's like, no, we don't like the idea of you gambling, so we're just going to go ahead and say no to this charge. And then you lose out on that money, that sweet, sweet Jimmy Johnson top 10 money as well. Don't do that. Go to Edge Boost. Plus, you can earn up to $750 per month in cashback rewards for using your Edge Boost card. And you know your money's safe as the card is FDIC insured. And the best part, no credit check, and it is completely free. Sign up today. Use promo code SGPN so you can get better cashback rewards. And we pull back the velvet rope for you kids. Tier 2 status. You can jump over all those other folks that are just on the lower tiers. You can jump right up to Tier 2. Going to use my Edge Boost reward for one of the bets that we are about to make in the upcoming segments because I feel really good about one, and I'll tell you which one I'll use my Edge Bet Boost on. So that's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. That's edgeboost.bet, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by mybookie.ag. MyBookie is your place to bet every sport, plus props for every game and the live dealer casino. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations and some, Edge Boost as well. MyBookie accepts customers from a ton of locations. Easy deposit, lightning fast payout using crypto. Head over to mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit match up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip. That's mybookie.ag, promo code SGPN. All right, Cody, so we turn our attention to the Atlanta Motor Speedway and we say hello to Laura. Hi, Laura.
Good, Laura.
All right, Cody. We're kind of robbed a little bit of what we're used to this, at least this time of the week. We have some good odds. We've got some good markets, but we don't have top 10s. We don't have top 5s.
Well, Rod, update to that. As JDK pointed out in the chat, Bet365 does now have top 5s and top 10s. So
there we go.
Luckily for me, I don't talk as much as you are while you're scrambling around. So I've already edited a few of my bets, which means they're probably not going to match up on the, I don't know if you made a graphic today. Yeah, I guess that's why you got to listen because might not necessarily match up exactly because
don't worry, you talk, I'll update the graphic.
They're doing things as we run here. So yeah, little weird that the books were sort of slow this week, but shout out to Bet365 for at least getting that stuff up. All right, Rod. Well, there is one commandment when it comes to super speedway betting. We saw last week, and it's just, look, if you saw the video of his son, Owen Larson, talking about it, he can't figure it out. He's not good at it, and Owen knows it, and Kyle knows it. And then Jeff Gordon comes out and says, look, he's so bad at it that now it's in his head how bad he is at it. They asked him during the rain delay, why are you so bad at this? They're all catching on now, Rod. But the rule is, as 16 Ohms said, fade Kyle Larson. That's what we're going to do. We're going to kick the show off by fading Kyle Larson. Rod did race to the dock and steal a couple of the head-to-heads from me, but found my own head-to-head, so that's all right. So I mentioned earlier, 6 starts here, 6 did not finishes. Incorrect. He does have one race that he finished actually in 13th. Back in 2022, he was caught up in a wreck that day, though, so he's 6 for 6 in getting wrecked here. He's run really well during the race, which I said last week he was going to run really well, and then it happens, right? Every single time Kyle Larson doesn't finish well. So just to sort of preface the Atlanta conversation, right? If you're newer, just came back into the sport or whatever, Atlanta is now a super speedway. It's a drafting track. So it hadn't been previously, but since they repaved it in 2022, it's now a drafting track. So when you're looking back at previous statistics, only go back 6 races. We've had 6 races here in this package. Everything before that, completely irrelevant, doesn't mean anything to the new track. Just treat it like it is a brand new place. Much like Daytona last week, previous 6 at Atlanta is the best place to look, but you can also compare some stuff to Daytona. You can compare some stuff to Talladega, a little bit less so, but still does matter there as well. I will say it seems like bigger names are at the front at the end of the Atlanta races more than the Daytona and Talladega races, but still plenty of chaos as you see here by Kyle Larson's finishes of 37th and 32nd last year, Rod, 23, 36th, and 31st. And then in 22, he did have that 13th place, but also 30th in the other one. Caesars has his finishing position set at 28.5. That is laughable because of he should just like you should think he should never be set at that, but that's probably the appropriate place to set it at for him here. But yet they're still giving us good head-to-heads, Rod. In the first one, Ross Chastain versus Kyle Larson. This one's minus 105 over on Bet365. I just read to you all of the wonderful, wonderful finishing positions for Kyle Larson. Let's look at Ross Chastain. 13th here last year in the fall, 7th here last spring. Really good runs from him there. One bad finish here. That was in 2023 in the fall race, ended up in 35th. But prior to that, 13th and 2nd in the first 2 races here. Led 42 and 32 laps in those races, by the way. So 2 second-place finishes, 13th, 7th, and another 13th, and then 1 outlier with that 35th place finish. So this has been pretty easily almost every single time Ross Chastain over Kyle Larson. And look, you saw how it worked out last week. Not all the head-to-heads hit, right, because other people are going to wreck out. But you just play all the ones you can, essentially, and you come out ahead more times than not. So give me Ross Chastain over Kyle Larson. And then, Rod, they've got Ricky Stenhouse's finishing position at 11.5. The over on this, which would be the worst then, so essentially him to finish 12th or worse, is that right? Am I doing that right, Rod? Is over worse?
Yeah, over is worse. And then
over is worse. Thank you. I appreciate that. As I was saying it, I was like, boy, I feel like I got this backwards, but
well, no, but even though it gets explained to me like 15 million times,
I know.
Still sometimes,
and that's what shout out to Underdog when they fixed it and with higher or low, or when they went better or worse, because it's so much easier. Higher, lower, which way does it go? But Stenhouse worse than 11.5 at minus 120. This is probably the bet of the week for me, and I would get in on this earlier rather than later. I don't think it's going to stay in this spot. Ricky Stenhouse, I don't know if you guys watched the race last year or last week, rather, but I don't think he made a lot of friends, Rod, and I don't think he's going to have a lot of friends this weekend. And if you go back here in these 6 races, only one time has he finished, or twice, rather, has he finished better than 11.5. In 2022, he finished 31st in both of those races. In 23, he was 17th and 10th, so there's one of those that was better. Last year, 6th and 14th, so definitely a little bit better, but still only 2 of 6, not a good batting average. Then you're coming off of pissing off everybody last weekend. I don't like that either. And again, at a track where anybody can finish in the top 11, give me the worst then side. So give me Ricky Stenhouse over 11.5 finishing position.
We know that retribution is not a real thing. However, no one's going to race Ricky very well and very clean if he can't do the same to everybody else. And again, say what you will, Joey should have not lifted. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like these guys.
I think it was either Denny Hamlin or Corey LaJoie on their podcast. I listened to both. I can't remember which one, but one of them said it was like 65% Ricky's fault, 35% Joey's fault. And I think that's about right. Like, Ricky obviously completely fucked up, but then Joey just said fuck it and continued to fuck up and just destroyed everyone, and it was stupid.
Yeah, that's the thing too. These guys, you drive at the highest level possible. You know your car inside and out. You know what you can get away with and what you can't with. So,
yeah. And Homer, quick saying Larson's going to win a drafting race one day and break the entire NASCAR gambling community. He might. Like, he's really good at during the race, and as you watch, it's like, by God,
and he was so up good. There too, and people were like, "Oh, look at Larson's up there."
And I said last week, you're going to be like, "Oh, this guy looks like an idiot. He's doing fine," and then he gets caught up every single time. He just can't avoid the wrecks, and it's usually the late wrecks. Like, one day he's going to break through. He has won in the Xfinity Series at, I think, Daytona. It was either Daytona or Talladega, but he's done it before. So, yes, he should at some point. But at this point, we've made so much money fading it that if he beats us, fine. He beats us. I'm not that worried about it.
Yeah, I was going to say there's no anything that's going to stop me from this. And in fact, I will double down on it with what Cody said, because I did get to the dock early and I did take Suarez over.
This might be the bet of the week right here.
Well,
this one is the one.
Daniel Suarez over Kyle Larson plus 110 on ESPN. What?
I forgot to tell you, Rod. I edited a couple of your bets. You had this over at DraftKings at like minus 110 or something, but plus 110 over on ESPN. So yeah, if you have access to ESPN, again, like stuff like this, because people are starting to figure it out, right? Like, we've been on this Larson fade at Super Speedway train for 4 seasons. Everybody else is like, it was the entire TV narrative this week. So nice of them to finally catch up, I guess. But people are noticing, and this is not going to stay this way for very long. So
tell me you listen to this show without telling me you're listening to this show. Honestly, guys in the booth. All right. But yeah, so Daniel Suarez over Kyle Larson. And again, I guess we're getting this at a really, really fantastic price. If you look at Daniel Suarez over the last few races here at Atlanta, baby, since we've gone super speedway, second, first, second. Daniel Suarez. I don't know how you're giving me Daniel Suarez at plus money on this one. He even finished 6th and 4th on this track before that. I mean, the very first time that this was a super speedway race, he ended up finishing 29th, but he got in a wreck, got in DVP clock trouble, so didn't necessarily get to finish this race. But when he did finish, and it doesn't even matter where he started too. That's the beautiful part about Daniel Suarez on this one. 26th place in 2023 in the fall, ended up finishing 2nd. He won from 23rd in the spring race, one of the closest races we've ever seen in the entire world, right? He was a Lightning McQueen tongue away from losing this thing. So, and then in the fall, ends up starting 30th and finishes in 2nd place. Daniel Suarez swinging a hot bat in Atlanta. And if you're going to give me him at plus money over one of the worst super speedway drivers in the entire world, let's go. To me, this was a no-brainer. Once I saw it, it flew to the dock because there was no way I was going to let this pass by. So Daniel Suarez, I think I'll even have a little bit more to say about him later. However, I'm definitely on him to beat Larson. And then I'll go ahead and take William Byron to beat Kyle Larson. We just talked about the fact that, well, first of all, Kyle Larson is horrible at super speedway. So it doesn't matter who you give me over him, but let's give me the guy who won this race, who won the race last week. And by the way, has not been necessarily all that bad at Atlanta in the super speedway configuration, right? He won this race in 2013 in the fall. Well, not this particular race, but he won on this track in 2013 in the fall. He finished 17th, which I guarantee you is going to be better than Kyle Larson anyways. It doesn't matter. And then 9th place in the fall of 2024. So, you know, again, so let me put this in perspective. Even when William Byron finished in that god awful position that he finished in the spring of 2024, Kyle Larson still finished in 32nd. He started 5th and finished in 32nd, and yet it was still William Byron beating him by a good 10, 12 positions over there in 17th. So it doesn't matter if William Byron is running shitty, he's still going to beat Kyle Larson. So Byron over Larson's minus 115 over at Caesars. And then Suarez over Larson is at plus 110 over on ESPN. So, yeah, I mean, it just is the continue to fade Kyle Larson train.
I don't think it can be overstated how bad Kyle Larson has been at the new Atlanta. It has been, I mean, I read them. We both just read you off the stats, but it is really, really bad, Rod. I mean, 113th place being the outlier, but other than that, you know, 5 races where 30th is his best finish. He didn't finish any of those 5 races. He's been bad at super speedways. You know, the stat that we gave last week was 2 for 47, finishing inside the top 5. Now you have to update it, 2 for 48. And Atlanta, again, smaller sample size, 0 for 6. But he's just been really, really bad at this track. And you know, like Homer said earlier, maybe he figures it out at some point. Maybe this is the week he gets it done, fine. But until he does, and yeah, Brian again brought it up like I did earlier. But where was it? Here it was. Yeah, but Jeff Gordon calling him out. I mean, he's already in his head about it. His kids making fun of him. Now Jeff Gordon, his boss, and it also is Jeff Gordon bringing it up. Like it's getting to the guy. He's coming off a wrecking last week. He's just getting through these first 2 weekends the best that he can. He's going to get caught up again in it this week. So yeah, it's full fade of Kyle Larson once again. And you know, been doing this for 4 seasons on the show. Been doing it for longer than that before the show. But if it beats us, it beats us. But until it does, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fear it until it actually comes up and bites me in the face. So I'm with you on that one as well. All right.
Just real quick to expand on it. Is there any particular reason he always gets wrecked? I don't know. I don't think it's a wreck avoidance thing, because if you watch him in dirt cars, like there is nobody better at wreck avoidance or swerving last second in those little midgets or sprint cars. Like he's so good at it. I don't know if he just is really bad. I think that, and we sort of have noticed this throughout the years, some guys are just better getting to the end, right? We say that a lot for super speedway, for drafting tracks, better at getting to the end. They're going to be there at the end. And whatever they have, Larson doesn't seem to have. And it's almost never his fault. He's just wrong place, wrong time, but he's always in the wrong place. there's got to be a reason why he's always in the wrong place.
Yeah, and so for me, it's like there's an energy to super speedway racing, and Brian says it best too. Denny actually does kind of go through the whole reasons of what's going on. So go listen to that. He gives a much more, actually a driver's response to it. So a little more intelligent than Cody and I can give because we have no idea. Never raced a super speedway in our life, but
iRacing time or two, but
no, well, okay. I've raced on the freeway here in California, which could feel like a super speedway sometimes, but we'll go from there. All right, got more picks to give you, but first let's get to our Underdog fantasy little promo here. NBA, NHL, college basketball, whatever you support, whatever sport you can cash in big with Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Listen, we just wrapped up a YouTube exclusive video where we're going to talk about some F1 Underdog fantasy picks for season long. So make sure if you're a YouTuber, if you're somebody that subscribes to us on YouTube, then go check that out. It'll be up shortly. And if you're not, if you're out there and you listen on the real podcast world, this one's only a 15-minute episode, folks. We're gonna try this out and see how this goes because we love F1 and we love IndyCar, and Underdog gave us some F1 stuff. So we're gonna put out an exclusive Just the Picks episode where we just give you our picks. And this week it's Underdog Fantasies Formula One season long. So we're gonna go give you a bunch of them there. I will tell you right now, Yuki Tsunoda not winning a race, so take the lower than on his race total at a half a win. There's a free one for you, and we'll go over the rest in that video. Sign up with in the meantime with our promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. It's Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. Let's tell you about Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. You can build your own model, copy one of the top performing models from the leaderboard, or you can even have Rhythm build a model for you. College basketball, NBA, and golf and NBA. Rhythm has it all. I used it so much during the NFL season. Put me on the right side of so many props, just like the Saquon Barkley rushing total in the playoffs in the Super Bowl. I was very happy to be on the right side of that, and you can be too. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Let's continue down the betting card. Laura telling me that was dangerous. Yeah, I know it's dangerous to just try to super speedway race on a California freeway, but listen, when it's not your car, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then make sure you go over to the YouTube NASCAR Gambling Podcast channel. We're going to start doing these just short, it's not even a mini episode. It's just a quick video where we're going to give out this time, obviously, the Underdog season-long picks. So that'll be out probably tomorrow morning on Wednesday. So check that out, and sort of going to do that for some other random stuff throughout the year. So going to be a lot of fun over there, Rod, and that stuff will just be on the YouTube. It's not going to be on the podcast. So you'll have to go over there if you want it. But something you can get on the podcast, Rod. That's Daniel Suarez top 5 plus 325. That's right. I am the noted non-Daniel Suarez guy on the show. I'm always arguing against him while Rod's arguing for him. I'm not arguing against him at Atlanta. I am going to argue for him. He's been really, really good here. Plus 325, I think, is a great number for him to be top 5. You mentioned it earlier, Rod. He's done it 3 of the last 4 3 times in a row, rather. He won here in the spring, and that was that 3-wide crazy finish. Second place here in the fall following that. And he was also second place in the fall of 2023, back the race before that. Had that 29th place finish 2 springs ago, but 6th and 4th in the other 2 here. So 5 of 6, he's been inside the top 6. 3 of 6, he's been inside the top 2. Daniel Suarez has this place figured out. He's been particularly really good here. So yeah, I love Daniel Suarez. I think he can finish in the top 5, plus 325. And then, Rod, we're going to run it back with my guy, AJ Allmendinger, top 10, plus 280 over on Bet365. Look, it didn't work last week, right? This was the bet. That was the one we wanted. We forgot to factor in that college cars just suck sometimes, and it bit him. That happens. We didn't really get a chance to see it play out, but AJ Allmendinger was really good at Daytona, and he's been really, really good at Atlanta as well. And so we're going to look past last week, put it in the rearview mirror. Maybe we were just a week too early. We're going to hit it this week. Plus 280. This is a really good number for AJ. Still 3rd place and a 16th place finish in his 2 starts here in the next gen car on this drafting track package. So you love that. And then at Daytona, 6 of 7 inside of the top 10 until last week. Now it's 6 of 8, obviously. But he's been good at drafting tracks. That remains. We saw him up there mixing it up. He looked pretty good. And then obviously mechanical issue. There's not really a way to handicap for that. I mean, you could factor in that he's in colleague equipment, and that happens sometimes. 2 in a row, I think that's unlikely. I think we're going to see the AJ that we know can get it done. So don't lose the hope. Don't lose the faith, friends. Ride it back on AJ Allmendinger with his top 10 at plus 280.
I will never lose the faith on AJ Allmendinger. That's my spirit driver. Again, I said it on Visson too. I told them everything, all of our little secrets. I told them AJ's my spirit animal. The guy loved that Jimmy Johnson was an actual driver and not just a joke name. And that I was very high on Jimmy Johnson. So gotta love that. All right. But I love your dinger. I love the Suarez pick. Obviously we just talked about Suarez beating Larson, and he doesn't even need to finish in the top 5 to do so. But I think plus 325 for a something that's happened 3 times in a row. Let's go on that one. Speaking of stuff that's happened a lot, I'm going to take Chevy over Ford minus 120. What's crazy about this, and this is on Caesars, you can take Chevy over Ford at minus 120. The Chevy over Toyota number is at minus 200. That's how crazy bad Toyota has necessarily been on this particular track. And if we're talking about Chevy beating Ford, Chevy has beaten Ford in 4 of the last 6 races on this particular track. Last year, it didn't get it done, right? It was Joey Logano that won the race here in the fall over Daniel Suarez. But before that, Daniel Suarez won. He was a Chevy. He beat Ryan Blaney as a Ford. William Byron won this. And in fact, the first 3 cars were all Chevys. Byron, Suarez, and Allmendinger. Ford was Michael McDowell. The first Toyota, I'm telling you right now, I'm still scrolling, was Christopher Bell in 23rd in the 2023 fall race or summer race here, I guess. But in the spring, Joey Logano did get the best of him. This is the second one of the 6 that he got. So Joey Logano, Brad Keselowski, both Fords coming across, Christopher Bell, Toyota. But then Corey LaJoie, the first one in that mix as a Chevy. But before that, Chase Elliott, Ross Chastain, and Eric Jones were 3 of the top 4 cars in that one. They were all driving Chevys. Above Austin Cindric was a Ford. You want to scroll down to 14th place to get to Bubba Wallace for that. I'm sorry, 11th place for Martin Truex Jr. to get to that first Toyota. And then in 2022, I was Chevy over Ford 2 by a mile in that one. There's 5 Chevys in the top 6 in that race. So Chevy, historically, really damn good on this track and even in the super speedway configuration. So for me, I'm just going to ride the Chevy train one more time and just need them to beat a Ford. It doesn't matter if a Toyota actually does end up winning this race, which, by the way, numbers is not very well in that instance. But if it happens, as long as a Chevy's in second and a Ford is in a distant 4th or 5th, we're good to go for this one. So going to be Chevy over Ford at minus 120.
Did you watch some Fords drafting last week, Rod? I know it didn't pan out in the end, but boy,
I watched some wrecking last week.
Good. Well, speaking of watching them wreck last week, Rod, that is why you could still take some of these long shot bets, because look at how the end of that race finished. Now, Tyler Reddick ends up being the top finishing Toyota, but John Hunter Nemechek, our guy, was in the top 5. Roddy was right there, ready to capitalize. Obviously, Jimmy Johnson also right there, ready to capitalize. Jimmy not in this week. So I'm going to go back to the top Toyota market. There's only 9 Toyotas. You take 2 of them. Now you only got to beat 7 other guys. You saw last week the chaos that can happen and what can be the result at the end of the day. So I'm just going to the bottom of the board, take the 2 longest shots. Riley Herbst at 17-1. John Hunter Nemechek at 25-1. Like both of these guys, Riley has no starts here at the New Atlanta in the Cup Series, but he is 3 for 10 finishing inside. Rather, he's 3 for 6. Yes. 3 for 6 finishing inside the top 10 in the Xfinity Series. That's what I was trying to say. Words are hard. Sorry. And last week, 17th place at Daytona, but you saw him pushing Denny there late. He looked good. Got caught up in that last big wreck, but he was he was ahead of that prior to the wreck. So you like that. 10th place finish in 2023 at Daytona as well. 9th place at Talladega last year. So he's gotten good finishes on super speedways in just the short Cup career we've seen from him. He won the the race at Indianapolis last year in the Xfinity Series. If you don't remember, the Xfinity Series only used that drafting package, and it was a drafting race for the most part. And Riley actually beautifully maneuvered the draft at the end of that one to go ahead and win that race. So I've seen enough from him to like it, especially at 17-1. And then for John Hunter Nemechek at 25-1, kind of the same reasons as last week, right? And he'd finished really good at Daytona and finished really good at Daytona. Look, he finished really good again. Sure, did it take chaos at the end? But sometimes that's what you're looking for, and it worked out for him. Didn't get the top Toyota, so hopefully you're on him in another way. But 21st and 33rd last year, okay runs. Those were his only 2 starts on this new track in the Cup Series car. Again, newer track, and he's only been in the Cup Series a few years. But looked really good last week, obviously. 5th place finish there. Top 15 in all 5 of his Daytona starts now as well. Been good at the drafting tracks. And this is just, obviously, Denny's going to be good. Christopher Bell is going to probably look good. Bubba, of course, is going to look good. Tyler looked pretty good last week. Chase Briscoe looked like shit. But sorry, didn't mean to rub that in for everybody already. But it just, you're playing the numbers here. Chaos. Maybe a Toyota doesn't finish in second. Maybe the first one's in 13th, and that's Riley or John Hunter. That's what you're looking for. So give me those 2 guys to be the top finishing Toyota.
I love it. Hey, how about 2 legacy cars in the top 10 at the end of Daytona 500 with Eric Jones running well for most of the day too. He got robbed out of a pretty good finish too. He was looking pretty solid and racy throughout the course of the Daytona 500. So, hey man, maybe we're done laughing at legacy. Let's go.
It was a super speedway race, Rob. Let's not overreact.
I'll overreact if I want to overreact. This is my team.
You certainly can, but
all thumping my chest for all these guys. Let's go, Jimmy. Let's go. I wish he would run a full season in this one. But
he's what, 6th or 8th place in the points, Rod? It's the first time in NASCAR history that a Hall of Famer has been in the top 10 as their Hall of Famer.
Hey, I love it. Hey, it's like wrestling, right? These Hall of Famers come back and they wrestle for whatever. Right. So I might as well have it in NASCAR as well. All right. Let's move on to mine. I put this card together when there were no individual top 10 bets. So I'm just going to keep this one because I like it. And I'm lumping 2 together. We talk about some long shot guys as far as who's going to finish in the top 10. The long shot on both of the finished in the top 10s is Ty Gibbs and Ross Chastain, plus 280 for both of those guys to be inside of the top 10. Cody, look up the individual top 10 odds for me here in a second, and I'll ask you for them when I'm done. But for Ty Gibbs and Ross Chastain to both be inside of the top 10 at the end of this race, look, Ty Gibbs has done it already twice in his 4 races at Atlanta in the super speedway configuration. Let's not forget that last fall, actually, he even led 37 laps on this track and was looking pretty good until he wasn't. But still, that was his sophomore slump year, right? So that's what we're going to blame that on, his finish there. But he's 2 for 4 and finishing in the top 10 in this super speedway configuration. We know what he did in Xfinity. He was a monster in the Xfinity Series. Well, actually, he drove the monster car too in the Xfinity Series. So look at us kind of making the 2 together. But we know how good he was. We know how well he ran in these super speedway races. So I think, look, we're done fading him completely. I wish that I would have been able to be separated from him last week because he didn't do well. But he has won here, like I said, in the Xfinity Series. He started on the pole in the fall of that one season that he was in a couple seasons ago. So I think this is a bounce back for Ty Gibbs. He does run well because this is not the expansive 2.5 mile super speedway race that we see in Daytona. This is a 1.5 mile truncated race. There's a little less nuance that goes on in this one. There's a lot more just, you can't really peek out for that third line like you want to in Daytona because the track's not necessarily all that gigantic. So I do love Ty Gibbs' chances of doing this again. He does love this track. He is pretty damn good at it. And so give me a top 10 for him. And then for Ross Chastain, I mean, look, we saw Ross Chastain have some spurts in the Daytona race. We know that they're good, right? We know that Daniel Suarez, we're on Daniel Suarez. So guess who's Daniel Suarez's dancing partner? Oh yeah, it's Ross Chastain. And Ross Chastain has had a couple of top 10s on this particular track. So he got a 2nd place in 2022 in the spring, 2022 a 2nd place in the fall, and then a 7th place in 2024 in the pack race there as well. He led 13 laps in this race in the fall, finished 13th, just outside of the top 10. But I do think this is a good opportunity for Ross to just link his bumper to Daniel Suarez and ride him all the way to a top 10 finish. So I'm high on him to be able to do that. I think, again, Ty Gibbs is going to be able to get back into the top 10 and put them together You're going to get that at plus 280. So, and then Cody gave me Gibbs's top 10 number alone at plus 160, and Chastain is plus 120 to finish inside of the top 10 by themselves. So I guess I'll give those out as official plays as well. So Gibbs plus 160 in the top 10, Chastain plus 120 in the top 10. If you want to put them both together, Caesars has done that for you. You get plus 280 for both of them finish in the top 10.
Yeah. I don't have a huge argument with that. They both should be pretty good here and have been. And I know our guy, Chris was saying earlier in the chat, or King was saying earlier in the chat, that he's going to be there this weekend. Big Ty Gibbs fan. So would be good for him to see a great run in person, Rob.
It would indeed. Ty Gibbs fans need this. They need something. They need a big boost because this season started out with a whimper, and he didn't even really look all that good during the race.
Fine. It's super speedway race, and don't overthink it, Rod.
We're overthinking it, Cody. It's one race in. He's in.
Only you. Rod, yeah, Rod's already trying to figure out his next catchphrase against Ty Gibbs.
Don't worry, I'll come up with one soon.
All right, Rod. Driver I'm pretty high on this weekend is Chase Elliott. I'm going to take him to win Group C over on Caesars at plus 250. He's matched up here against Kyle Larson. Oh, sorry, that was funny. Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, and Chase Briscoe. I absolutely love Elliott in this group, Rod. If you made all of these head-to-heads, you'd have fifth. So Elliott's only raced in 5 of the 6 next-gen races at Atlanta on the new track. All that. He missed one of these when he was out with his broken leg. But if you put those 15 races into head-to-head matchups, you've now got 15 head-to-head matchups, Rod. Chase Elliott is 14 out of 15 against those. 5 for 5 beating Kyle Larson, 4 for 5 beating Chris Buescher, and 5 for 5 for beating Chase Briscoe. Larson, look, it's well documented at this point, right? Not very good at super speedways, really bad at Atlanta. So you love that part of things. Chase Briscoe, sure, he was fast. He was on the pole last week. Outside of that, I didn't think he looked good. We saw the Toyotas have struggle pushing and drafting, which was definitely an issue. And then Briscoe really was never to be heard from. Buescher, the RFK cars always area to a degree at super speedways, but Chase Elliott's 4 for 5 over him. Buescher got him one time, so you like that. Yeah, give me Chase Elliott to win Group C at plus 250, and that's over Kyle Larson, Chris Buescher, and Chase Briscoe.
Yeah, I know that everybody really was, Briscoe. And I was like, just wait. Like, yeah, they can win the pole, but winning the pole and trying to stay in the pack is 2 different things. And it just, sometimes that pole sitter gets crazy.
And that's qualifying at super speedways. We've said it 100 times, but it means absolutely nothing. You know, when a guy qualifies well or doesn't qualify well, don't look zero into it. It does not matter. Oh, they look slow in qualify, doesn't matter. Oh, they look so fast, they look so good in qualify, doesn't matter. Makes no difference at all. Ash from across the pond, Rod, checking in, saying that your combination of top 10 of Chastain and Gibbs is plus 375 over on Bovada. So, yeah, I guess that's a great place to get down on that one.
Yeah, no, this is why I love seeing, and this is why I read something the other day that were like, make sure you shop around for lines if your touts don't do it for you. And I'm like, we try to shop around as much as seemingly possible, but by the same token,
there's a lot of places to shop. And as we're filling these out, you know, like we sort of start doing our research last night. You're doing research today then, and odds are still dropping as we're talking. After this comes out, they're going to talk, you know, things are going to change, and then you're going to have qualifying, and books are going to overreact to somebody qualifying bad. You're going to get a better number. There's a billion things. So we're doing the best we can, but
you know where you can find the most updated stuff? Our Discord. So make sure you get over there because that's where everything starts to trickle in as it comes out. So, all right, going to take Austin Cindric. Now is my time to stop besmirching the name of Austin Cindric. I almost had to eat a ton of barbecued flavor crow last week because I was really I was so down on Austin Cindric, and I don't know why. I don't know what was biasing me against Austin Cindric, but I just did not see him doing as well as he did last week. I mean, listen, there was a real possibility that he could have ended up winning that race. So I do have to start giving Austin Cindric his flowers, and this week I'll do it. Austin Cindric, top 3 at 3-1 on Caesars. Watch me pick the wrong time to give Austin Cindric his flowers, but not really, because he does have some good finishes on this track. And in fact, he has led at least one lap of a race in the last 5 races that he's been on in this track. So he's a guy that's going to be up front in this one. In fact, he finished 3rd in 2022 in the fall after a 5th place finish. He finished 11th in 2023, but he started in 2nd, 12th in 2013 in the fall, 4th in 2024 in the spring, and 10th after starting 5th. But he led 92 laps of that race in the fall after starting 5th and finishing in 10th place. So, I mean, Austin Cindric, I wanted to take a top 5, but I didn't see it. So I decided to take a top 3, and I'm okay. I'm okay with taking a top 3 on Austin Cindric, because if he's going to finish in the top 3, he's probably, or top 5 rather, he's probably going to finish in the top 3. He's been very fast on these super speedways. He's been very, again, I don't know what it was about Austin Cindric that made me not want to take a really good hard look at him. Maybe I was just putting my blinders on, but my eyes are open now, Austin Cindric fans. If you're fans of the 2, my eyes are open, and I will definitely back him for a top 3 out there. And Brian backing me up too. Well, I'm backing Brian up. Let's get this real. Brian saying Cindric is among the elite super speedway racers. Only thing preventing him from numerous wins are late wrecks, which is, but this is why I was not high on Brad Keselowski last week too. Everybody was just saying Brad Keselowski. And I even got it on the Vista show. They were like, well, guys like Brad Keselowski are back there at 23-1. And I was like, yeah, but he just never seems to be able to finish. And that's the thing. You got to finish these races. And if I don't see the finishes, I don't care if you ran in the top 10 for 99% of the race. It's just it's just one thing that can get you out and crash you out of this race, take you from a 2nd place finish to a 32nd. So yeah, I mean, that's really what it is. And on the score sheet, yeah, it reads 32nd. Doesn't say how you got there, just means that you got there. And if I see 32nd, 32nd, that's a pattern I have to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. I have more thoughts on Cindric in a bit, so I'll save all of it because I really like him. And Denny talked extensively on it. He is an elite super speedway racer. I mean, what you saw last week from Cindric, absolute masterclass. That's why he's won the Daytona 500. That's why he's going to continue to win those types of races. We're also, Rod, getting to that point with Cindric of it's time to prove yourself, right? We're past that 100 race started mark where guys really show up. He's in that legendary 2 Penske car. Like, time to start getting some stuff done, and we'll see, right? Let's not overreact to one race being a drafting track where he looks good, but hopefully as the season continues to go forward, if you are a Cindric fan, he can start to pick it up elsewhere. But super speedways, boy, he has definitely looked elite.
I concur. All right. Well then, Cody, where are we going next?
Rod, where are we going next?
Where are we going next? You know where we're going next? We are going to...
That's right, friends. Cody's Car Lift Corner with Corey LaJoie. We're stacking those pennies back-to-back weeks. Give me the car lift on Corey LaJoie. Rod, we're going to start out with the top 10 at plus 280, top 5 at 10-1, top 3 at 12-1, top 4 at 18-1, and win the race 60-1. Let's go stack those pennies. Rod, before it was cool to bet on Corey LaJoie on super speedways, we had him at 250-1. He was leading with 2 laps to go. Oh, we were so close. And then he gets into the wall and Chase Elliott wins, unfortunately. But Corey LaJoie has been really good on super speedways. We continue to talk about it, specifically really, really good at Atlanta. You saw it last week. He was mixing it up front with the leaders. Rick Ware car was on point, right? It was good. It was fast. He was just as good as anyone else. I was really hoping it would start raining with 8 laps to go when we were under caution flag. And he was the leader. Like, he was leading the Daytona 500 with 8 laps to go. Of course, he got caught up in that last lap wreck as I watched all of my bets go out the window. But we're earning it back this week, Rod. Really, really, he's been good here. So you go back to 2022. That was the season where he ends up with a 5th place finish in the spring race. And then he comes back in the fall. And literally, he was up front, leading laps, shaking it up with Chase Elliott. It just got to him. He got in the wall late. Finishes 21st, but he almost won that race. He was right there. Then if you go back to 2023, he had a 31st place finish, but also a 4th place finish. Last year, a little more disappointing, 15th and 13th place finishes. But this is the year for Corey. Probably the last time we see Corey for a little while, right? He's on a part-time schedule. It's only select races. He's not announced past this point what races those are going to be. This is his chance to shine. This is his chance to make it big. He is going to have a shot. He's going to be mixing it up with the leaders. Cannot wait to see that 0-1 car up there. Give me the Corey LaJoie car lift this week, crowd. We're running it all the way to the top, all the way to winning at 60-1.
Listen, I love you. I will actively root for all of your bets to hit because it's good for the show, but I just don't share the LaJoie love. I really don't. That 0-1 looked slick. It was great. It was fine. But again, it's just about knowing that this is going to happen to him.
You know, yeah, but he's gotten the finishes and he's done well. Sure, the one race he didn't get it done when he really had his best shot. I get it, but he has finished. You know, he's cashed top Chevy for us multiple times at this track. He's cashed those top fives. I read through them. We've, again, the fade Kyle Larson thing, like every head-to-head every week doesn't always work, right? Sometimes other guys are going to get wrecked first, but it's the point of you take multiples and it continues to cash and make you money. And same thing with Corey LaJoie. Like, you had a chance last week. It didn't cash, but we've hit so many of these car lift bets on him before that we're just paying for future car lifts with our past car lifts. And it's been making money in the long run. It's one of those games where you don't win every time, but you win it enough that you keep on going back. And that's what it's all about, Rob.
Indeed. Well, speaking of going back, I continue to go back to the winning car number, even though it burns me on Daytona. Man, I had so many opportunities to get the under on the under 19 and the under 12. Pissed me off. I was so many opportunities. And then the 24 ends up winning the damn race. There was the 2 up there. There was the 11 up there. There was the 01 up there. There was so many opportunities to win that damn thing. Even Kyle Busch for a hot second was up there leading that race. So many opportunities. And then the 24 squeaks by and wins the race, does not cash me the bet. So guess what? I'm overreacting. I'm taking the over this time on the winning car number. I'm taking the over on 21.5, and only because it's at plus money, right? This is at plus 140 for the over. And if you look back at who's won this race on this particular track over the last few seasons, Joey Logano won the fall race last year, 22. Daniel Suarez, the 99, William Byron, the 24, Joey Logano, the 22. Chase Elliott was the only outlier there, and then William Byron won the first one in the super speedway configuration. So only once has the under hit on this one. So I'm going to ride that one as well. And you do get great guys. You get guys like you even get Josh Berry if you really want Josh Berry. You get Joey Logano. No, I'm sorry, it's over 21.5, so you don't get Josh Berry. But you get Logano, you get Wallace, you get Byron, you get Herbst, right? We just got done talking about Herbst. You get both of the legacy boys who are primed. You get Cole Custer until somebody spins him out. You get Tyler Reddick, who we haven't even talked about in this particular one. But by the way, Tyler Reddick, Daytona, kryptonite, just like Kyle Larson. So just keep that in the back of your mind, except for the fact that he does end up pulling through. I'm so pissed off. That last wreck kind of ruined a lot of the narratives that I had posted up for this race. But you also get Ty Gibbs, rather. And then you get Daniel Suarez, who we talked about just a second ago. So some really solid drivers over this 21.5. And again, like I said, only once has the under hit in all of the super speedway configuration races at Atlanta. So I'm going to go back. Winning car number over 21.5 at plus 140 over on Caesars.
Yeah, you're getting plus any of these types of bets that are going to keep you in the action. You're getting plus money on at the end. There's going to be some guys over 21.5 that are going to be in the mix at the end of this. You saw it last week. That's actually exactly what you wanted, was somebody over 21.5, at plus money going into the final lap of utter complete chaos that drives everyone crazy.
Yep. I was so pissed off because I was looking good for so much of that race. I wouldn't even have cared if Austin Cindric, because again, when I gave out that bet, I said, look, if Austin Cindric does prove me wrong, then he's going to be in this under as well. So he started to prove me wrong. And then, then things got dicey. So, all right. Speaking of winning races, Cody, I believe it is time to pick our winners.
It is time to win some races, Rod. Give me Austin Cindric, 12-1 over on BetMGM. You talked about him earlier. Really like him. The first note I wrote down was, you saw it last week. Elite super speedway driver. I'm all in on Cindric on super speedways. things can go wrong. He's going to get caught up in wrecks. That's what happened last week. But he looked really good. He's able to control it. People are going to want to work with. When a guy like Denny Hamlin is praising you and talking about how well you're doing it, sure, Denny's in a Toyota and Austin's in a Ford. But when it comes down to it, and you get to pick your dance partner at the end, you want a guy that you know can get it done. We saw how well those Penske guys work together. I mean, really, you could pick your poison between the Penske guys. I considered Joey Logano, Rod. I didn't pull the trigger this week, but definitely considered it. Love Austin Cindric. He's 32nd in his first start here. Not a great run, okay. But third place then in the July race of 22. Since then, 11th, 2nd, 4th last spring. And if you remember, that was the 3 wide to win. So he was right there, right behind those guys in the mix. Could have been him in that 3 wide deal there. And then 10th place last fall. So he's been really good here. Been great at super speedways. Give me Austin Cindric. Chase Elliott, I would get this number much sooner rather than later. He opened at 18-1 last night on Caesars. MGM still hanging him at 17-1. I talked about him earlier, but he's been really good here. Again, he's only had 5 starts on this track in this configuration, but 5 for 5 inside of the top 15. The first season we came here, finished 6th. He won that one against Corey LaJoie, unfortunately, but led 96 laps that day. That's something we've seen at this track, more particular to guys just leading more laps. So you could see that 13th, 15th, and 8th in the other starts. So he's been really strong in all of them. He looked really good last week at Daytona as well before getting caught up in it. So Daniel Suarez, the guy we talked about earlier, 22-1 over on BetMGM. Again, shop around. That is a much bigger number than some other places. His average finish is, well, he's top 2 and 3 in a row, Rod. We're just leaving it at that. Daniel Suarez has been really fucking good here. And Justin Haley, late addition to the card, Rod, probably not going to make the graphic. I literally just wrote him in here. But at 50-1, Justin Haley has been really, really good here. In the 31 Colleague car, you'll love seeing this for that AJ Allmendinger. 11th place in 2022 in the March race, 7th in the fall race there. Had a 22nd in March of 23, but then 8th in July of 23, 20th last spring, but then 12th in the 51 car here in the fall for Rick Ware Racing. So Justin Haley at 50-1. I think this is less of a week for long shot winners, but I still think that could happen. And Justin Haley's the type of guy, put himself in position, be there to capitalize, just like we just saw last week with William Byron. So yeah, give me Justin Haley at 50-1.
Yeah, and so like you said too, this is one where it's not as big as Daytona, so there's not a whole lot more room on this track for a lot of the shenanigans that happen on Daytona. So these guys will settle in a little bit. It will get a little bit boring, I guess, for a while as they run and try to save fuel, and it'll get kind of dicey around the stage breaks in the end of the race. But a lot of this is going to be, if we're going for green flag stops, just like Rye Cape had said, keyword for this week is pit stops. If it's green, you better pray. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things. There's green flag pit stops in this one that shake the field up. So
yeah, and I think that was specifically in reference to the Corey LaJoie thing, and yes, that is going to be what's concerning. If they do have to have green flag pit stops, that's kind of a ragtag group that could get us in trouble. But NASCAR didn't want to see fuel saving last week, Rod. Soon as that window opened, oh look, cardboard on the track, throw that caution flag. We're not doing green flag stops. So hopefully NASCAR stays consistent. Oh, sorry. I crack myself up sometimes. But maybe they'll stay consistent and we'll have less green flag pit stops this week.
You didn't give me the chance to actually do the studio audience laugh on that one, because that's actually NASCAR. Yeah, there's no.
I could not believe how many times that NASCAR official or race officials or terrorist shirt came into play last weekend, Rod. Get over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/store and get one order for yourself.
You need one, because definitely need to rep the brand for sure. All right. Well then, so I'm just taking the single shot approach to this one as well. Give me the guy that won the race last week. We talked about this in the offseason too. It's William Byron's going to jump out to a very early hot start, and then he's going to cool off. So this is part of his hot start, right? William Byron, and the fact that he's 17-1 over on BetMGM, I don't think that's where I got the number from. So Cody updated that for me. It's not going to be on the graphic, but the fact that you're getting him at 17-1,
that's nice. Dude. I just to drop that out quick. BetMGM every week earlier in the week. It seems like it changes as the week goes on. So, and we talked about doing this show later in the week or kind of waiting, but I think one of the advantages of this show is we do get in early on some stuff, and specifically outrights at MGM seem to be early in the week. You can get some really good deals. So I wouldn't wait on some of these guys if you like them early.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% sold on this, especially the number that it's at, because like I said, he just won the Daytona 500. He just is coming off of a fresh super speedway win, and not to mention the dude has 2 wins on this track in the super speedway configuration. They've only done this six times in the last, so he's got a full third of the wins that he's had on this track have come in the super speedway configuration. A 9th place finish in the fall, and then, like I said, the 17th place in the spring of 2024. But I mean, William Byron at 17-1 is just a hot ticket to hold, especially if he does manage to stay clean through the entire race like he did last week and just be right there for the win again. I mean, it's going to take a little, Denny Hamlin hates to say this word, but it's going to take a little luck to get him there, but manufactured luck, and he's good at that. So yeah, give me William Byron at 17-1. It's a crazy number for a guy coming off of a super speedway win and 2 wins on this track already.
Yeah, no argument from me here. I think that it's definitely a great line, and get it early again.
Get it early. All right. Well then, get out your pen and paper. We're going to go over our bets for this Ambetter Health 400 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway in Hampton, Georgia. I'm just going to give you my card, and then I'm going to give you Cody's card. We're going to mix this up a little bit because I got tired of having the graphics be all over the place. So we're going to make this a little cleaner for you. You're going to have to take 2 screenshots, not just one, and that's fine. I started you out with Daniel Suarez over Kyle Larson at plus 145. I then added on William Byron over Larson at minus 115. I said take Chevy over Ford at minus 120. I'm putting both Gibbs and Chastain in the top 10 at plus 280. But if you are so inclined, take Gibbs at plus 160, Chastain at plus 120, or either one of them. I don't care how you break it up. But I do like the both of them as well. I also gave you Austin Cindric as a top 3 car at 3-1. I gave you the winning car number over 21.5 at plus 140. And then Byron, again, I had him at 14-1 when we opened the dock. Cody gave us the 17-1 over on BetMGM. So make sure you make note of that in your notepad of choice. Cody gave you Ross Chastain over hashtag fade Kyle Larson at minus 105. He gave you Ricky Stenhouse finishing position over, which means he's going to finish worse than 11.5 at minus 120. He gave you Daniel Suarez as a top 5 car at plus 325 and AJ Allmendinger as the top 10 car at plus 280. I know the graphic says plus 250, but there was updates being made as we were talking. So plus 280 for AJ as a top 10 car. He also gave you top Toyota as Riley Herbst at 17-1. And then John Hunter Nemechek as the top Toyota at plus 2,500, rather not plus 250. Who is my editor? Somebody get me my editor on the phone. I would love very much for them to actually, do their job. Anyways, Nemechek, top Toyota, plus 25-1. Then he gave you Chase Elliott to win Group C at plus 250 over Larson, Busher, and Briscoe. He's riding the LaJoie car lift again, top 10, plus 280, top 5, plus 1,000, top 3, 12-1, top Ford, 18-1 to win the race at 60-1. And then he's picking Austin Cindric at 12-1. He's got Chase Elliott at 17-1, Daniel Suarez at 22-1, and Justin Haley at 50-1 to win this race.
So I got to listen to the show, Rod. Sure, you could fast forward to the end, screenshot it if you want to. But hey, it's a living, breathing show. Things are literally changing in the odds market as we're recording. So it's nice to have those grouped up and do the recap at the end there. But things are going to be thrown in throughout the show as well.
I wish there was a wire service for odds that I could tap into, that they could just give me the ticker. Like Bloomberg has, or like these financial shows where they're just showing all these numbers on the screen as they're going. I mean, people would rather look at the numbers than me anyways. So I think that's a good addition. I'll look for one of those. Maybe we'll
find that for us, Rod. We'd appreciate it.
Invent that one. So Laura saying great graphic. Thank you so much. I figured I'd just, tease it up a few and make a little different this time around. What'd you think, Cody?
I like it. Look nice. Keeper. Do it.
All right.
And then, the font doesn't have to get so small in my card.
Yeah, that's the other bonus there that Cody doesn't have. We don't have to squint to read Cody's bets anymore. I can just have it all out there. But
That's right.
all right. Well then, Cody, it's time to send everybody home, or at least away from us for the time being, to get their cards set before anything else moves. Jesus, jump on it now.
Yeah, exactly. Get those bets placed. And then, tomorrow, Rod, check out that little YouTube exclusive video talking about F1 win projections over on Underdog. Fun little market that's brand new for them this season. So we went through each and every one of them in a condensed, quick format to cover all of them. So make sure you check that out. Subscribe over there at NASCAR Gambling on the YouTube. And follow the show as well on the X at NASCAR Gambling. Like our page over on Facebook. And follow me, Rod, at Husker_Zeeb. Tons and tons of stuff over there. Continues to roll out. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Xfinity trucks or DFS. We'll see, right?
Dealer's choice. Whatever's available, we'll cover. Exactly. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. There's a link to the bio and everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's in between media. Seth and Elliott talking Atlanta for you this week. And then, of course, my special site as well. But also there is an interview, or there's a, what do you call those things? A poll up there on Twitter right now that we actually have. We want to know. And is Dale Earnhardt, or anyways, Dale, whatever, is
Garage Guy Chase.
Yeah, Garage Guy Chase. That's what it is. Garage Guy Chase has a poll asking you about your habits when it comes to podcasting. We're interested. Go take that poll because I want to know what you think. And that way, I can actually gauge what to go, because part of it is, what do you come here for? The picks or the banter or the whatever. And it's like the banter is kind of close to the picks. So I want to know if you guys like our banter and our picks, or you're just here for the picks. But it doesn't matter. You're going to get them all anyways. Just, whatever. We're just curious to know. All right. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Just like Cody said, make sure you check out our exclusive YouTube official. If you haven't already, go subscribe to the YouTube channel and have some fun there. All right. We love you all. We will see you tomorrow. And until then, let's go racing and let it ride.